this kind of environment when we're moving into a subject such as this, it doesn't really suit, a commercial environment or a busy yoga center. And we can already feel maybe we don't know each other or we do know each other, but we can feel that we're in very good company. Can you feel that? Mm-hmm. And, even if we haven't spoken or had a conversation, just the fact that we've been attracted to a subject like this, it sort of means we're already friends, we're already family in a way, because there aren't that many people that are, engaging in this kind of subject or attracted to this kind of subject. So already we're with like-minded, and we really need that in our life, to come together in a group with like-minded, because there's a certain atmosphere and a certain depth that comes with the practices when we're together. And it's that depth that really inspires us to keep going in our own life. So I'm very humbled to be here with you today in this capacity, and that we can explore this really beautiful and really important subject also. And to Divyatma for having the inspiration and letting us all be here in your home. So thank you everyone. So let us start with ancient yoga and Kundalini. Ancient yoga, when we refer to ancient yoga, we're really talking about pure yoga. That pure yoga, because yoga is ancient, but over the centuries it's really developed into different systems. But when we talk about ancient yoga, we're referring to Tantra, really. Tantra and yoga are very close. They're very close. And Tantra is the system that really focuses on the subtle body, on the energy, on the subtle body. So ancient yoga is that yoga that really has the science, the inner science of coming to know the self, but coming to know the self through the subtle body. Through the subtle body. So not through the mind, not through the external life, but through the inner being, with a focus on the subtle body, on the energy. So this is the essence of ancient yoga. It really focuses on the energy. The energy. And we can see that, in the last 50 years, yoga has really, really developed. It's all over the world now, isn't it? Everybody knows this word yoga. But when you ask people, what is yoga? They'll refer to the postures and the asana, the physical yoga. That's the yoga that's really taken off, and particularly we can say in the last 20 years, that's just spread all over the world. And even if you ask a yoga teacher, what do you teach? They'll say, I teach the different flow sequences, or the postures, the breathing, I teach relaxation. So this is the yoga that's come to us. And it really makes sense that this is the yoga, the physical yoga. We can say the hatha yoga that has spread and been received, because we are physical beings after all. We are physical beings. We've taken a manifest form in a body, and we're very concerned about the body also, aren't we? Is it healthy? We're very concerned about our health. It's very important.
It's high maintenance. That's what it
high maintenance, and we're concerned about, the way it looks. We're concerned about our appearance and the skin and the weight, and can it jog? Can it do this and that? So we're very concerned about the physical body. So that's been the yoga that's really spread all over the world, and we understand that, we get that, it makes sense. And then in more recent years, we've really had this mental yoga, aspects of the mental yoga become quite prevalent. This term mindfulness, everyone knows it now. It's coming into sectors and into schools, which is incredible. So this yoga of the mind, which really relates to the Raja Yoga, just little sort of slithers of Raja Yoga has spread all over the world. And then we know we're emotional beings, and we've really had this Bhakti Yoga, which is amazing. We can find that in all of the yoga centers, it's hard to find one now that doesn't have some sort of Nada Yoga or kirtan night or puja or havan or something that's incorporating this bhakti. So bhakti is also spread everywhere. But you see, this Kundalini yoga it's not so known to the world because we can say it's a higher yoga in the sense, not in the sense of a hierarchy, but it's a higher yoga in the sense that it's really dealing with the subtle body. And it takes a certain perceptive quality to be attracted to that, to start to practice that. So the Kundalini yoga, it's not everywhere and it's not often that we're coming into contact with it. And so we're not talking about the modern Kundalini yoga from Yogi Bhajan. You know, there's that Kundalini yoga, that's a very different system. We're talking about this ancient tantric Kundalini yoga. And it deals predominantly with the chakra. And see, many of us may have become familiar with the chakra, the psychic energy centers. And we may have read about it or done some practices with it, but we're not so attuned to this field of the chakras. It's the psychic field. We're not experiencing it directly. Maybe sometimes, or maybe there are some people, but it's not something that we come into contact very often where we're having a direct experience of our chakras. So Kundalini yoga really deals with the evolution of the chakras and also the nadi, the pathway. And it's not in this pranic field. That's the thing to get. See, we start to become very familiar with the pranic field in our yoga, isn't it? The prana. We start to feel that in the practices, we start to develop that awareness, we start to control that, we start to experience the prana. But the chakra, they are in the pranic field as energy storehouses, but they really came into being through the psychic field. So this is a different, more subtle, more refined field. And this is the focus of the ancient Kundalini yoga. So we also then have to consider, what is Kundalini? Has everybody heard this word before, or is it new to anyone? Kundalini. So there's a very beautiful story about Kundalini that I'd like to share, because sometimes when we hear a story, it helps us to, when we personify something, we can grasp a little bit more easy these very vast, very abstract concepts that really relate to consciousness and to energy and the evolution of the being. So I'll tell you this story about Kundalini. So in yoga we become familiar with the terms of Shiva and Shakti. And Shiva represents the consciousness, that pure, eternal, undivided, limitless, universal consciousness, beyond knowing, beyond understanding. We can say the Father, God, Shiva. And Shakti represents the energy, the universal, the cosmic energy, the wife of consciousness, Shiva and Shakti. So the story is that Shiva and Shakti are together always. They are always totally entwined together in their abode of bliss. And Shiva says to Shakti, let us have children, let us create. And Shakti says, oh no, I don't want to do that. Then I'll have to create all of these planes, existence. I'll have to leave you. I'll have to be with my children. And I never want to leave my beloved. And Shiva says to Shakti, no, there's a way that we can do it. We'll do it through Kundalini. We'll create Kundalini. We'll take a little bit of me and a little bit of you, and you will take Kundalini down and create the planes, create creation, create the different forms of existence. That way, Kundalini will always be with her children. So a little bit of me, a little bit of you. So Kundalini is that aspect of the divine that brings manifest, that brings creation. She's that force. Shiva and Shakti are in a completely different, they're not in this manifest creative force. They're limitless. As soon as the manifest creation begins, there is a limit. There is a limit. So they're not in this dimension, but the Kundalini is. The Kundalini is what brings it into being. And contained within the Kundalini, she holds the consciousness, she holds the energy. So Kundalini is that aspect of the divine, of the mother, that brings us into being. And see, we can relate a little bit to this concept of the mother divine, of the mother. And I think being Australians, it's a little bit easier for us because we're so connected to the nature, isn't it? We love Mother Nature. We love Mother Nature. We feel her. We feel her, we respect her, we honour her. We love Mother Nature. So it's not so hard for us, and we're simple. We're a little bit simple. We're a little bit simple in the sense that we don't have to bother so much with all of that. We just know that there's a force in Mother Nature and that we love her. And actually I remember Swami Sakyadharma, who many of you have been lucky to come to know. She said to me about the Australia. I said to her, why Australia? You could be anywhere in the world. You could live anywhere in the world. Why Australia? And she said, it's the Aussies. It's the Aussies. I said, what is it about the Aussies? And she said, they get straight to the heart of it. They get straight to the heart of it. They have the ability to get straight to the heart of yoga. That's why. So I think we have that simplicity in the inequality. I'm not saying that it's a quality, and we can understand this concept of mother. So Kundalini is the mother that is with us in our manifest form. We sing our songs to Shakti, or we pray to, the mother in heavens and all of that. But Kundalini is with us. She's the mother that's with us right here, and she holds the essence of that higher unmanifest as well. So then the question comes, how does she do it? How does she bring creation into being? How does she do it? So we can't understand all the mysteries of Kundalini and the process of creation. We can't. Of all of the different planes, of all of the different elemental energies, of all of the different realms, universes, life forms. We can't really understand that. But we can understand the process within ourselves, within our own beings. And that's what the yogis understood. The ancient yogis of old, they understood that. They understood how this force of energy and consciousness brought manifest existence into being. We are manifest. We have spirit, but we're manifest. So there was a process, and that's what the yogis have understood, and that's what's been preserved in this ancient yoga in the form of Kundalini yoga. It's really about this process of creation. So she did it through the chakras. She did it through the chakras. And the way that she did it, she began here. So not physical, this psychic realm. You can place your head up here, hand up here. And maybe you can feel something there. Some vibration, some energy, some heat, something here. This is the realm of the chakra we call Sahasra. And this region, so not physical, is where the spirit dwells. where the spirit dwells, where your spirit dwells. Unmanifest. So this is the unmanifest region of yourself. It's another world, really. It's another world. Unmanifest. And the Sahasra chakra, it means 1,000 petals. 1,000 petals. And those petals represent rays of light. 1,000 rays of light. 1,000 rays of light. This spirit unmanifest, with that universal consciousness and energy. And in the center, there is the crystal oval, the pure consciousness. The pure consciousness. So imagine that always with you in each and every moment. Just up here is your spirit, is the universal consciousness and energy, this region of Sahasra. So then what happens next? You see, this is the spirit realm, and Kundalini, she has to find a way to bring in the manifest. She has to find an entry point. And with her, she takes a little bit of the consciousness, a little bit of the energy, just a little bit. And she finds the entry point into the manifest. And that is through, place your head here at the top back of the head. You'll see there's a little soft spot, one little soft spot. The point. This is the point of entry of the Kundalini. And this is known as the Bindu, a blazing point of light. The Bindu, point of entry. So these two chakra, the Sahasra and the Bindu, they are beyond. They are beyond our realm of material. They are immaterial. They are immaterial. See, we're functioning in the material. So these two are beyond. So next what happens is there has to be a sense of individual. So the Kundalini descends to this region of the midbrain, which we know as Agya Chakra. And here she deposits the energy of consciousness. The energy of consciousness. The individual consciousness. That I exist. The individual consciousness. You see, this consciousness here at Agya, we talk about consciousness a lot. It's something different to this universal consciousness. This consciousness here at Agya, your consciousness, it's limited. It's limited in the sense that there's a boundary. There's a boundary. And what we mean by limited and boundary is it's limited by knowing, by a knowing. So you can know consciously. You can know consciously. You can know subconsciously. You can even know unconsciously. You can know superconsciously. You can know. You can have that experience, that knowledge, that understanding that can awaken here. But the consciousness up here, there's no limit of knowing. It's a very different sphere. There's no limit of knowing because there is nothing to be known. There's no duality. There's no duality up here. There's no this or that. There's no perceiver or perceived. No hot and cold. No. There's no knowing. It's just undivided, limitless, unbound. So it's a little bit complicated, but you can get the understanding. We talk about the one. The one. This is the one. This is the one. And this is you. And in your highest, most purified form, knowing all aspects of consciousness. And you see this journey from Agya up, that's the journey of transcendence. That's the journey of Samadhi. That's the journey of Nirvana. Up through this channel into these regions. So, back to this region of Agya chakra. We have this consciousness. Now what will it do? What will it do? How will that be manifest? You see, it needs a mind, isn't it? It needs a mind. So this energy of consciousness, the Kundalini, create the mind. Because otherwise, how will we function? How will we speak? How will we communicate? How will we perceive? How will we interact in this physical, material realm? How will we do it? We do it through the mind. That's part of our existence. To be here in this material form, we have to have a mind. So she manifests the mind. Then, what happens next? We can't just be the consciousness and the mind. When we're born in this material, we're on earth. No, I'm not talking about a different plane where maybe that exists. We're here on earth. So, that just reminded me, can everyone just sit really comfortably, because we'll be doing meditation after this, so I don't want you to get too sore. So if you want to spread your legs, get comfortable. So for the material, for the manifest, we need the vehicle. We need the body. We need a form, a shape, don't we? Otherwise we're just, we didn't come for that. We came to be here on earth. We need a form and a shape. So the yogis, in yoga we hear about the elemental energies. We have practices that relate to the elemental energies. These energies that permeate and create a form. And these energies are the earth, water, fire, air, and the space, or the ether. You've heard of these very significant, very important energies. So the Kundalini from here at Agya, she travels down to this space in the throat region, not physical, but where the throat would be. There's a Vishuddhi chakra. And here she deposits the energy of space, of ether. Because you see, nothing can exist without the space. If we look in this room now, if we look at each other in the room, we're all sitting in space, aren't we? We can see each other and the floor, and it's all possible because there's a space. Everything's in the space. We have a place because of the space. So the first elemental energy she deposits is space, and that gives us a place. It starts to give us a place for form to develop. Space. And then she descends further down the pathway to this region behind the heart, the Anahat chakra. Anahat chakra. And here she deposits the energy of air. Of air. See, the air gives the movements within. We breathe. Air gives that quality of movement. Then she keeps traveling down to this region behind the navel, the Manipur chakra. And here she deposits fire. Fire. See, fire gives light, gives heat also, but it gives light. So we're not talking about, the physical mineral elements. We're talking about them as energy, pure energy. And see, fire gives light, and we need light to see outside, to see inside. We need light, fire. It's also that energy of transformation, alchemy, the fire. So we need the fire, activity. Then she travels further down the pathway to the tailbone. And this is the Swadhisthana chakra. Swadhisthana. Here she deposits the water energy. And then she continues right down to the very base of the pelvic floor, and deposits the earth energy. The earth energy. And that is the journey of Kundalini in bringing the manifest. You see, we don't have so much time today to talk so much about about this, but this is the process of Kundalini yoga, understanding the chakras, the journey of the evolution of the chakras, and this permutation, this governance, the qualities of the chakras, this creative process. So when Kundalini gets to the Muladhara, the very base, the earth, her work is done in bringing us into being. And she curls up and she goes to sleep. She goes to sleep. And we dream this life. We dream this life. She sleeps and we dream this existence. We dream that I am Chintan and I live in the Blue Mountains, or I'm Chaitana and I'm teaching yoga, or I'm such and such and I'm about to get married, or I'm doing this and I'm going to change my job. And we dream our existence. We dream it. Kundalini sleeps and we dream. But this dream is very real to us. It's very real to us, isn't it? These experiences are our life. It's very real to us. And then you see at some point in our life, and probably it's all happened for all of us and maybe continues to happen, we start to become a bit tired of this dream. We get a bit bored, a bit restless. We feel like, hey, what are we doing here? What is the world doing? What is everyone doing? What is this about? We start to get a bit restless. We think there must be something more. There must be a purpose. There must be something more than just doing the same thing every day, having the same interactions. Have you felt that in your life before? That restlessness, that seeking, and we begin to seek. And what we find pretty quickly is that, as a humanity, we've really learnt almost all there is to know about the external world. Like we've really learnt almost all there is to know about the external world. So we might try some new courses or jobs or move to some new houses or get a new partner or, get the dog or do all the things or try the different cafe or go vegan or, But at some point we come into contact with a person, with a teaching, with a group, with an inner experience ourselves, with the grace, we can say, the grace. We come into contact and we start to feel a little bit of light, a little bit of satisfaction. So you see this is a symptom, this is the first symptom of Kundalini awakening. That very difficult, restless, this can't be it, the dejection, this, what is this about? This is Kundalini starting to stir. She's starting to stir, she's starting to wake up. And why? She's been down there so long, too long, sleeping.
Well, we're living a mortal life, and Kundalini is going to have to exit at some point, and she's prepared to jettison out at some point. And
exactly, yeah.
We have to work with that energy at death, and why don't we start now so that we understand and know and can manage that energy in some way, so that the death can be peaceful, or it can be a gift to others, for example.
Precisely.
Yeah.
So this is Kundalini yoga. This is Kundalini yoga. This is the purpose. This is the point. So, you see, Kundalini, she's been down here in earth for so long, and she wants to return to her beloved. She wants to return to her beloved. She says, hey, I've been down here sleeping, they've been dreaming, it's been so long. She wants to return to her beloved. And how does she do that? It's through the evolution, through the pathway of the chakras. So once we come to understand, come to experience, come to practice, come to purify, come to open the chakras, the Kundalini, she has that chance to rise up in a very balanced and harmonious way. You know, we hear the stories, the Kundalini sort of crack ups, or the Kundalini like arising, you know, without that process having taken place. So Kundalini Yoga is that very systematic process of experiencing, of purifying the chakras so that the Kundalini can arise. And when she does arise, straight up into the arms of her beloved, oh, she's so happy. She's so happy. But you see, we have the body, so she has to return. She has to return back down. But she's happy to do it because she's being with her beloved. She feels happy, she feels full. She thinks, okay, for you I can, you know, look after the children. And she can descend back down. She descends back down. But when she does, you see, we have a different experience of life, a different quality of perception, a different quality of awareness. And we can do just exactly the same things we've always been doing and experience a very harmonious, very awakened, very realized way of living our life. You see, we have the destiny to have this form, this manifestation, to interact. That's our destiny. But, like Sri Mukti said, it's also programmed within us. It's in our coding that the Kundalini will arise. It's programmed within us that we will get restless. We'll start finding ways that we can really understand our inner being, that we will move away from the material. All of these are signs of the Kundalini awakening. She's programmed to get restless. You see, we have to start experiencing our inner being. We come to programs and sessions like this. Why? Because the Kundalini has awoken. You wouldn't be here if it hadn't. She's already awoken, and wherever she is, you'll find out, and maybe she goes up and down. But this is the part of your life now of starting to understand this inner dimension, and that's the purpose of yoga. So yoga comes to us in a different kind of knowledge. We've done all the education and the jobs, and we keep doing that. We have that knowledge, but we need a different kind of knowledge, the knowledge of the self, and that's the purpose of yoga. That's why yoga's with us, for when we get to this stage in our life and we need a way, a map, a path. And so Kundalini Yoga is the yoga of the Kundalini. It focuses on this. And through the chakras and the purifying and the unfolding, all of that knowledge starts to come slowly. Knowledge about the mind, knowledge in all of these domains starts to come. So we don't feel that restlessness. We feel, wow, how blessed we are to be on earth, to be in form, and to be experiencing this process of transformation. And we have that purpose. We have that purpose in our life. So, I think that's enough of the talking, and now we can do the practice. Today we'll do 2 practices, and the first practice is really just to move into this inner field and have an experience of the chakras, to see where they're located, to experience the chakras, and to move more into this psychic energy.